where are we at as far as INCOterms? Let's just go down the line here real quick. And don't be afraid to just say where you feel your level is at.
I would say like 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So you're about midway. Denise. Okay, so you have a confidence level with it. Sandy?
4 or 5.
4 or 5?
All be. Yeah, I would say 4 or 5.
Okay. You're in the middle. 6? Carl?
4 or 5.
Okay. All right. So everybody here has at least a grasp of them. So that's good. We're not going to start then at the very bottom. We're just going to go through each one and we're going to talk about the good, the bad, some things that, and the way I would like to handle it is when we start talking about the specific terms, to just kind of open it up and have just an open discussion on each one. I'll give you my thoughts. You can give me what your experiences have been. Okay? The global economy has given business broader access more than ever before to markets all over the world. Goods are sold in more countries, in larger quantities, in greater variety. But as the volume and complexity of global sales increase, so do possibilities for, there's that word again, misunderstanding and costly disputes when sales contracts are not adequately drafted. I like that statement, all right? I use it in a different class. I don't want to talk about sales contracts today, but rather I would like to say that INCOterms should be used as just a piece of your sales contract, okay? So it's an easy way to define, to make sure that there's no misunderstandings for at least this little piece of the sales contract, all right? Sales contract in itself can be pretty complex, but this is just a piece that we can make it a little easier. INCOterms can cause internal feuding. Okay? I hear some laughs. Sales always wants to make the customer happy. All right? Because without sales, we can't have a company, right? Finance says, without our department, you won't have a company because we won't have any money to do anything. Operations says, without me making the product or purchasing the product, there wouldn't be a product for sales to sell and finance to count their money. And the stockholders say, I don't care what you do, I just want to reduce my risk and make money. Am I off base? Is it different in your company? Okay. So we need to understand that different divisions have different agendas, and that's okay because every one of them are really right, but they just need to police each other and work with each other and do the best for the company. And that's what we're going to try and do here. We're going to talk about INCOterms as a marketing tool. We're going to talk about INCOterms in ways that you could save money. We'll talk about INCOterms in moving your product in ways that it'll move faster. And we'll talk about INCOterms helping you to reduce your risks. Okay? Let's get a little housekeeping out of the way. When we talk about just some terms, okay, a carrier is a party undertaking transportation responsibilities. Pre-carriage is the transportation on the seller's side to the buyer's side, meaning that's before, in easy terms, it's the movement of your freight from the vendor or the manufacturer to the ship. The main carriage, transportation, the main carriage is the ship, the ocean part. And the on-carriage is from the ship to the customer. Okay? If we just keep it simple, you'll think about these terms. So as we talk about the INCOterms, when they talk about pre-carriage, main carriage, and on-carriage, you know what we're talking about. All right? When we talk about port to port or door to door, right? Door to door is not an INCOterms, but it's a very common term. So let's talk about how door to door fits in on international terms. Door to door is pre-carriage, main carriage, and on-carriage. Okay? Port to door is main carriage and on-carriage. Port to port is main carriage. And door to port is pre-carriage and main carriage. Okay? So that's how, when you hear people say door to door or port to door is not an INCOterms, they're right. But this is, a lot of people use it, and that's the way it goes. It's all put in together. Questions on that? Okay. One thing I want to bring up, I want you to think about something. Try to keep your transportation simple. Okay? If you're moving, if you're buying something from Taiwan and you're here in the States, now it's different if you have a factory over there. But why do you want to deal with pre-carriage? Okay? I always like to use the example, it's if you're in Buffalo and I'm in Chicago, I live in Chicago, you live in Buffalo, and I say, I'm coming into Buffalo today and we'll go out to dinner and I'll pick the restaurant. Right? That really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense because you're from that city, you know what's good, you know what's not. Why don't I let you take care of that? It's almost the same thing in transportation. You're going to tell me you're going to buy something from me in a different country, but yet you're going to want to handle that piece. Now, there's reasons you do, but I'm just saying, as a rule of thumb, try to keep it simple. If you want to buy it from the port, and we'll talk about how you can do that, take it port to door. Take a main carriage to on-carriage. Okay? But be very careful when you start getting into other countries, other cultures, other ways of doing things. One of the things is anybody here had experience in Vietnam?